What's up, homies? So it's been about 2 weeks since my last update, and Shining just happened this past weekend. I didn't really do much with my boss mules and Shining, just because I was primarily focused on my main, but I tried to tap a few 15s to 16, but because of the storage lock, I really didn't get around to finishing tapping all those 15s to 16 right before reset. But I do want to do a quick update, just sort of a reminder of where my bossing mills are at. So my arc right now is 13.1k stat, completely unbuffed, and my Legion is still, Legion's getting up there. It's almost 8.4k. In terms of the nodes, nodes are the same. Familiar keys here. Still using two 15% ID fams, and then a quick run through of the gear. So the last time I had an update with my arc, I was able to do a 20-minute solo for normal Lotus. But unfortunately my G skills expired part way and my pendant slot also expired. I think I should be able to do a fairly solid Lotus run once I get a bit stronger on here, because my gear is not all 2-line yet. But for now, my arc is dual wing and low mean with a friend. And we finished that. I think we finished both in about 20 minutes, so it's a pretty solid run. Next, we'll go to my Pathfinder. So my Pathfinder, I believe I had a few 15s I tapped. I actually can't remember because I didn't note it down. But we'll go through everything again. So in terms of the nodes are the same. Stat 12.4k stat, completely unbuffed. Gear. Are potentials I do want to fix on here. I'll get around to that later. Currently still able to go up to a catchy on my Pathfinder. And then once I push my gear to at least 2 lines, hoping to do Lotus soon. And then my 2 familiars, 15% IED. So after this, it would be my Hoyoung. So the main thing about my Hoyoung is that previously I didn't do CPAP on it, mostly just due to my comfort in the boss. But now I've added CPAP to the bossing rotation for my Hoyoung. So now it earns about 1 bill in about roughly 30 minutes. So I'm currently 11.8k stat on here, completely unbuffed. Here are the nodes. I did pour a bit more nodes on here compared to my other bossing mules. I think I spent extra 1 or 200 nodes after I did a few totems on my Dell. Still not very comfortable with bossing on my Hoyoung, but I'm trying my best to learn as I go. In terms of the gear, wrong key, here we go. I think my gear is basically the same. Still a lot of 12 stars. I'm waiting for Dom Pendant here, which I'll get from my buck once I get it to level 220. And then I feel like once I get a little more comfortable with Hoyoung bossing, my Hoyoung is also going to be able to do normal Lotus. And for the gloves, these were 30% luck before, and I actually re-rolled these to 1 line crit damage, 1 line stat. That's pretty much for Hoyoung. Next would be my Dark Knight. So my Dark Knight, I am almost going to transition into 4-set Superior. It's currently 9k stat unbuff, runs up to Akechi, takes a bit longer than my Hoyoung, but that's also because the nodes are fairly low. But I would say Dark Knight's a pretty strong class, even though I have pretty low nodes on it. I think I spent about 13 minutes in Akechi. It's fairly long, but I'd say it's still worth the mesos. In terms of the gear, I do need more stars. Whatever is unique, I do still try to aim for those 2-line unique. Once I get the superior belt, I can transition this into the superior belt and transfer it for 16 stars. And then for the cape, I do want to fodder into the cape, but I don't have a lot of C back capes at the moment. So once I train my Dark Knight more, I can get some Pencilier capes and just do double transfer hammer into this and then into my actual Abso cape for more stars. And then the familiars on here are also two 15% ID fams. Next, I will go to my buck, which is mostly funded because of the Terror Burn nodes and symbols. It's only able to clear up to C-Vel. I haven't attempted to do anything further, mostly because I haven't finished claiming the rest of the wards. But once I get this character to 220, I think I'll push for more. So it's about 8.6k stat at the moment. In terms of the nodes, nodes are fairly solid. I have all my trios. And then the gear itself, I'm planning to replace these 2 rings later, which is why I'm not pushing their potentials. And there's the uniques. Mech Pendant I do want to replace. Chaos Horntail Pendant I plan to replace, so I'm just leaving them as placeholders. It's a little sad to see Pencilier shoes and Frozen Cape on here, but it makes do. It clears the bosses I want to clear. They probably should fix that secondary, but I'll get around to it later. And then in terms of familiars, I also have, actually it's in here. There we go, 2 15% ID familiars just from common fans. So the last character would be my Nightlord, which I haven't quite started bossing on yet. So Nightlord's about 6.9k stat. I think I should be able to do at least 3 doors CRA fairly comfortably on here. I have to take a look at my nodes. So I recently did my perfect trios. I feel like I'm lacking sort of the levels just for the node slots because I don't have my bind on. I'm mostly worried about that for Pierre, but I'll see when I get around to that. In terms of the rings, leaving these 2 rings as placeholders and then 2 unique event rings. I will plan to unlock this pendant slot when I start bossing on it later, but for now I'm just leaving it as it is. I am using reinforced. I was going to do reinforced 4-set. I was lucky enough to get 2 drops, so I'm just waiting to completely transition to superior set on here. And then I just have some of my fodder gear I'm waiting for transferring. I did get a box for the gloves, so that's probably the biggest upgrade I have so far. I still have to get this to legendary to get 1 line of crit damage, and I think if I get at least that, that'll put me in a really good spot for my Nightlord. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week's update. I am mostly just going to save my mesos for the upcoming 5, 10, 15 in about 3 weeks. I'm hoping that I can use my weekly boss income to upgrade at least my Hoyoung and Dark Knight closer to at least doing Lotus, since I feel like my Pathfinder and Arc are in a fairly comfortable place. And once I get those around, it'd be my Buck as my next focus, and then my Nightlord as well. I do plan to just level up some of the characters for the extra node slots, and that would help with the progression. But that's pretty much it, homies. Thanks for stopping by and listening to this week's weekly boss progression update. Catch you later.